Hi, and welcome to Diversity in the Community. I am your host, Teresa Harris, and I can't tell you how excited I am to have with me today Dwight Stellmacher. And why I'm so excited, because I've known him since he was a baby. And now he is just like known all over the place for his art. And I'm gonna let him tell you about himself. But I am so happy to have you here today, Dwight. Welcome to Win TV. I know you got some big stuff going on in the Windsor neighborhood. So, well, welcome.
Thank you so much. It is such an honor to be here. It's surreal. Let me just say that it really is surreal. I'm here for my first solo exhibition back home in my home state at the Windsor Art Center. It begins on March 19th. The opening is March 19th and March 20th between 10 and 4. But the exhibition actually goes on to April 23rd. So
Wow.
I am really, really excited just to see friends, family, people that I grew up with, and it's a really big deal. So, I mean, it's just, woo, I'm here.
It really is a big deal because I've been going back and forth to the Windsor Art Center for many years, and I've seen so many artists come through there. So it really is a big deal, and I'm just so proud that you are the one. This time you are the one. So I'm going to ask you a few questions.
Okay.
And just I want you to feel comfortable. Just talk as much as you want because it's all about you. All right.
Got you.
Where are you from? And tell me about your background.
So I'm originally from Bloomfield, Connecticut. So I graduated from Bloomfield High. Right here, born in Hartford, raised in Bloomfield, graduated in 1992. Left Connecticut, went to Hampton University in Hampton, Virginia, and I currently reside in Newport News, Virginia. So, when I left here, I went to Hampton to major in architecture, and the funny part is, I majored in architecture because all I wanted to do was draw. Of course, you know, growing up at St. John's,
Yes.
I was on a back pew with a pencil and a piece of paper drawing Snoopy and Garfield.
Yes.
And I just wanted to draw, and I didn't know anything. You know, I didn't consider myself an artist back then, but I just was drawing. And my first gallery, I tell people today, my first gallery was the refrigerator in my mother's house because we had pictures and the magnets all on the side of the refrigerator. And so, started at Hampton University and graduated in '98. Went back to college in 2010, and I got an associate's in graphic design. And in 2020, I just recently finished my master's in what's called UX design, user experience design.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Oh my goodness. I remember when we were visiting. Were we in Virginia? And I saw you, and you were just starting to do, I think, logos or something.
Yep.
And I'm like, from that time up until this time.
Correct. And what's funny about that is in 2010, I started my own graphic design company called Authentic DNA Studio, and I still do that to this day. But as far as I was concerned, that was it. I work at Newport News Shipbuilding, and I was doing graphic design on the side, and in my mind, I'm like, okay, you know what? What I'm going to do is I'm just going to start, graphic design, because my passion is initially I wanted to employ creatives to do what they're designed to do, right? So I want to be able to, whether it's have college students, as interns, but being able to expand, our clientele base, but giving them real life experience, right? But that literally was it. So I was just like, okay, I'm gonna do authentic. Me and my business partner, Darian Wilson, we started it, and I asked him a question at work one day, and I said, hey, if you could do anything for 8 hours a day, what would it be? And he was like, man, create. And I said, well, let's run it. And we started in 2010, and we've still been going strong since then.
Wow. Have you ever heard that scripture in the Bible about, putting your feet in a large room? You went from doing, and that's what I'm talking about.
And that's what I tell people all the time. And what's surreal to me is this is still just the beginning.
Yes.
Because the part that literally blows everybody's mind is And I love my wife for this, even though I was kicking and screaming. I only started painting 2 years ago. So I wasn't even interested in painting. She had asked me, her and her girlfriend asked me to host a paint and sip down in Georgia at the end of like 2019. And I was like, no, I do not want to try to train people or teach people how to paint. Because I didn't even know how to paint at that time. I was just like, no, I don't paint. My paintbrush was a mouse, so I was doing logos. So went down there, did the paint and sip, and got back home, and we just started going to Michael's getting canvases, and then the pandemic hit, and literally my living room became a warehouse of all these canvases.
Wow.
And in 2 years, like I've literally, right now in the storage unit back home in Virginia, I have over 200 pieces of artwork and have sold
Wow.
over 125 original
Oh
paintings.
my God.
And mind you, that was not the plan. So that literally, my pastors had prophesied over me and told me that there was going to be a supernatural career change. And I was just like, okay, I'm thinking at work, right? I'm
Yeah,
thinking about a promotion
yeah,
at
yeah.
work. And my co-pastor, Dr. Belinda Moss, she said, God is going to do with you what he did exactly with Beyonce and Destiny's Child. And she said that God is going to start to pull you out of authentic DNA. And then this literally started taking off. And just to hear people talk about conversations. And the part that I love, even when people are like, hey, I got a conversation, like that's the brand that I've created around it. And
Yeah.
I love that.
Wow. I want to step back a little bit. I met your beautiful wife. I absolutely love her. And so you said that she asked you to do a paint and sip, and that's where it kind of,
Yep.
wow.
That's literally where it stemmed from, because if she had not harassed me about doing that, I would have never picked up the paintbrush. Right. And while we were down in Georgia, I actually painted 3 little 12 by 12 canvases and just started. But I've never been trained in art. I haven't gone to school for art, so everything that I'm painting is, I step back and I look at canvases to this day and I'm like, yo, I did that? Like, and
Yeah.
I mean, and I'm
Amazing.
talking, and I'm not talking about small canvases. I'm talking about like, most of my canvases are 48 by 60 and larger.
Right.
But it's just still a variety, but just looking at what I'm able to do through the gift that God has given me.
Oh my God. Oh, that's beautiful. Um, I was going to ask, how were you introduced to art? Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, and really, so even in the whole introduction of it, like literally growing up, I remember, being on Jackson Road and just always drawing. I used to draw on napkins, drawing still figures, but then, growing up, and I'm gonna take you back, right? So remember the highlight books with the parrot and the pirate?
Yeah, yeah.
Always trying to draw those, and I just remember, seeing those and remembering the competitions and the cash prizes and stuff. But, growing up drawing Snoopy and Calvin and Hobbes, and I could always just draw what I saw. Like, I wasn't one of those people that, like, would just sit there and actually draw just anything out of my head per se, to a certain degree, but like started perfecting. Like if I saw a flower in a vase, I would draw the shadows and everything like that.
Yeah.
And then all throughout high school, I remember having, because ever since high school, before I went to college, so I think it was in my sophomore year, Miss Wright and I remember Mr. Cicero were my art teachers, and then we had another art teacher named Miss Jacksina. But I remember them and in our art classes and everything like that. But after that, I didn't have any art classes. It was just architecture. Doing the sketches. And
Yeah.
even while I was at Hampton, everybody loved my presentation, my color, my lines, and everything like that. And so I was just like, Hey man, I just want to draw. Anything
Yeah.
that affords me the opportunity, because of course there's that stigmatism around being an artist that, there's no money in it, you're a starving artist and stuff like that. And I'm like, I don't know that story.
Right.
I mean, I don't, but and that's the thing that I kind of want to attest to is that no, when you pursue the gift that God has given you, for me, there's prosperity on the
Yeah.
other end of that.
Yeah.
Now, that doesn't mean it's going to be a cakewalk, but if God gave me the gift, I tell people like this all the time. In my personal opinion, a starving artist is somebody that has made a quality decision to do it in and of their own strength, wisdom, or talent.
But
But
God.
but God, right? But
Yeah.
if I'm going to the manufacturer, the one that created me, that knows what I'm here to do and designed to do, then I can now say, okay, Lord, what am I supposed to be doing with this?
Yeah.
Follow those instructions, and then my success is now contingent upon my obedience to His direction.
Yeah. Oh, beautiful, beautiful. Tell me about your favorite medium.
So I feel like I'm in my discovery phase right
Okay.
now, right? So I've only been painting 2 years. I love acrylic. A lot of people, and a friend of mine, he made a very good point. So I have a lot of friends that work in oils, right? And so when you go to museums and different things like
Yeah.
you see oil on linen, oil on canvas, and oils for me, and my wife will be the first one to tell you this. Oils for me basically are messy. They take long to dry and everything, and I work very quick. I have a hair dryer right next to my canvases
Yeah.
where I'm drying the paint because when I'm in my zone and creating and just flowing, I like to get the painting done.
Yeah.
But I love even multimedia. So I've done some work with, and starting to do work with fabrics,
Okay.
and acrylics
Okay,
on like
okay.
teak wood. So
Yeah.
I want to get into more textured work.
Yeah.
I love the three-dimensional aspect of
Yeah.
artwork, because I like for the artwork to be somewhat dynamic, right, and not just static. But even with me, there's always those three layers. So a lot of times, even when I'm painting, you have the base, then you have the middle ground, and then you have the shadows and the highlights,
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah.
for me, once I start adding that depth to it, and I feel like it's popping up off of that canvas, just with paints, I'm like, that's what I was waiting to get to. But
Yeah.
then now being able to migrate to textures, whether it's plaster, whether it's strings, nails, and
Wow.
books and different things
Yeah,
like that. But
yeah.
I really want to get into larger body of works like that.
Wow. Wow. I'm excited about your future. Describe how art is important to society.
So I had this thought a while back, and when you look at from a creative standpoint, so just imagine, well, and I think back to this. Think from a black and white perspective, right? Remember when TV was in black
Yeah,
and white,
yeah,
right? And you don't see any colors or anything like that. But even today, when you look around, I had this thought, like, if you took creatives off the face of the planet, just think about how boring the planet would be.
Right.
So when you look at the power of art, and when you think about it, whether it's graphic design, the visual communication, the colors popping, seeing the murals on the wall, seeing, the different things in museums, from fashion design, like your jacket,
Right.
the vibrancy of the colors. All of those things now start to speak to you from an emotional standpoint. Like when you're in the store and you saw that jacket and it was like, oh, I got to have that,
Were you there? Did you see it?
But when you think about that, somebody created that,
Yeah,
right?
right.
Somebody had the idea, the concept, and the design to create that for it to be worn, right? Now, that's just fashion design. So now you go into graphic design, you look at web design. When you're looking at commercials, look at advertisement. So I look at art as that foundational thing that now just starts to dictate, and can have, and that's why I even named my pieces Conversations, because just those colors, I think about like when my wife sees certain colors. I mean, you would think that she just won the lottery. It was just like, ooh, look at that great, look at the way that it pops. But that's her response to it.
Yes.
But that says a lot.
Yes,
You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
So when you can walk into a room And you think about just walking into like a charcoal gray room, right? It's just
Right.
like, oh my
Horrible.
God. But think about when you go to the islands and then you see these bright blues, when you
Right.
see the bright yellows and
Right,
the
right.
vibrancy of those colors, now it changes your emotion. It's just like, whoo, I'm on vacation.
Exactly.
And I can relax, you know. So
Yeah.
it plays a very, very big part for me in just the societal atmosphere and being able to give hope, give inspiration. You know, when people can look at your work and see those things, it now becomes a thing of you have the ability to touch somebody's life without even without even talking to them
Right.
through
Right.
that medium.
Yes. Right.
You know.
Right. Beautiful. How do you define success as an artist?
So it's funny when I first started painting, Teresa. I had all these paintings in my living room, right? And I sat in my morning room, and I was like, Lord, you know, what am I supposed to be doing like with this? Like, and the Lord had told me, He said, "You create it, I'll sell it." Right? And for me, I was just like, all right, cool, let's go. Now, my thing, so when I started looking at success, I was like, success for me does not equate to how much money that I got in the bank. Success does not equate to how many pieces have been sold, right? Success for me now becomes my obedience even to what God puts on my heart to paint, right? Because now when I obey that, that's success. He told me to create before I formed you in your mother's womb, right? I knew you. I approved of you. For me, he approved of me as a creator. He approved of Jeremiah as a prophet.
Yeah.
But I'm a creator, so my responsibility is to create. So now in my creating, I'm successful. Whatever happens after that piece is created, that has nothing to do with me.
Yes. Yes.
My well done comes from I created it.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
now when I do that, and whatever a person's gift is, when you're doing what you're designed to do, that's where the prosperity, that's where the success is. And,
Yeah.
and it's not about the dollar. I tell people all the time, I'm never going to chase money. Money is always going to chase me because I chase God and what God wants me to do.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
for me, if I ever find myself in a place where, well, I don't know what's going on, all you got to do is go back to the first thing that God told you to do. Do that, and then move on. But you can't sit up here and try to be successful in the world's eyes if, from a believer standpoint, if you're not doing what God told you to do.
Right.
Because that's
Right.
the well
Right.
done
Right.
part,
Right.
right?
Right.
That's when you know that you're in your sweet spot.
Yes. That's powerful. That is so powerful. What's the purpose or goal of your work?
So I started reevaluating some things, and I've always had a passion for youth. So I'm a youth minister back home, and being able to give back, right? So I remember, so I don't think my mother knows this story, but she's about to find out on national TV. So when I was at Hampton University, right, we had to buy art supplies, and we had to get art supplies, but we didn't have a whole bunch of money. And so I used to steal art supplies from the art store. And so, and I was professional with it, right? So, so no lie. So this is funny. So we used to have to buy these things called bumwad, which is like trace paper, rolls of trace paper. And I remember I was in, I was in this art store, and I actually took a roll of this tracing paper and I put it down my pants leg. I was in the back of the store, put it down my pants leg, and what I did was I put it behind. I hobbled up to the front of the store, paid for it, rolled it around to the front so they couldn't see me from behind, and walked out like Peg Leg Pete out of the store. So, and I said, I never want money to be a problem or an issue in any child's life
God,
to
yeah.
be able to do if they want to embark upon a creative industry.
Right.
So for me, I'm looking at starting up a 501c3 called the Conversation Foundation.
Okay.
And basically taking proceeds from the art that I sell and creating scholarships that can now, and my dream is I'm going to write a full ride scholarship to a HBCU or any college that will now fund that creative endeavor. I don't care if it's web design, fine art, whatever the case may be.
Wow.
But that's my goal. I want kids to know, and I want to be a blueprint to young people to say, I can be a creative, I can be successful, I can pursue that dream and not have to worry about where money is going to come from. And letting that turn into your entrepreneurial, venture, right? So whether you want to do arts and craft, whether you want to be a fashion designer, whether you want to do jewelry, sell bracelets, for me, it's all about being able. I remember this. It's the beginning of Quincy Jones' documentary, and Quincy Jones has said, "You want to be what you see." And now, when you think about Quincy Jones, right, and the caliber and the breadth of his talent, right,
yep.
Quincy Jones said he wanted to be a gangster. He literally wanted to be a gangster because that's what he was surrounded by, and that's what he saw. But now, just imagine if Quincy Jones would have became a gangster instead of the producer, the musician, all of that. So for me, if I can insert my life into the lives of young people so that they can see somebody that looks like them from a color perspective, that says, hey, he has 3 businesses, educated, went to college. If I can do it, you can do it too. So I want to give back in that way so that kids don't necessarily have to worry about the financial constraints if they want to pursue creative endeavors.
That is beautiful. That is so touching. That is beautiful. My goodness. How do you navigate the professional art industry?
So I tell people all the time, my net worth is my network. Look at where I'm at right now. I know you, right? And this has afforded me this opportunity. And within the art industry, it's, for me, initially, I was so bent on, well, I want to be in this gallery, I want to be in this museum, I want to do this. For me, I just want it all to be organic, right? I don't want it to be something that's forced, I want it to be something where just you don't know what room your name is being spoken in while you over here chilling, eating Cheerios, right?
Exactly.
But it's the simplicity of those relationships. And when your work speaks for itself, I don't have to force my way. Like you said, your gift will make room for you, right? So now I literally have the opportunity back home in Newport News in July. The owner and the gallery owner of the gallery in Downing Gross Cultural Arts Center reached out to me. Somebody told, one of my friends told her about my work. She went on my site. She was like, oh my God, I'm a fan and we have got to exhibit your work.
Wow.
Now, for me, that truly came at the extension of me being able to embrace rest and just saying, God, you got it. Right? Because before I was just like, yo, I want to exhibit here, I want to exhibit there. Okay, how do I do this? And God is just like, what I tell you to do? Go create. You create. I got the marketing, I got all of that. You just create. And when that time comes, you'll be where I've designed for you to be when you need to be there. And everything else will take care of itself. So it's almost like Jesus being in the back of the boat. Right? So everybody else freaking out, Jesus, hey, there's a storm, and he's just like, shut up, sit down. Y'all should be asleep like I'm asleep. But he got up, peace be still. And then he was like, why was your faith so little? Right? So now it becomes a thing of, all I have to do is just trust and believe what God has put on the inside of me. And that goes back to even my artwork. Comparison is a thief of authenticity. Right? So if I was sitting there, oh, I can't draw like this person, I can't paint like this person, I can't do this like this person, and God is like, I don't need another one of them. I only need one of you, and that's all I created was one. So I stopped comparing myself to everybody else's talent and skill and what success or whatever. And I was just like, do you.
That's right.
Just embrace
right.
you, do
That's
you,
right.
and let the world experience the greatness that God has put on the inside of you. Because your gift now becomes that voice that God wants to speak through to society.
Yes.
So why rob the world of that voice?
Right.
So
Oh, that's beautiful, just beautiful. How do you manage a work-life balance as an artist?
So managing that work-life balance as an artist is a very unique situation. I have so I work full-time, I work remote and everything like that. And it's funny because my creativity, it still kind of bleeds over into my professional, career. I still design and still do things within that. But then it's like after work, it's like, let me get a canvas. My wife would tell you, I'll go grab a canvas and she'll be like, what you done seen now? and I'm going at it, right? But it's getting to that point where that freedom, right? Just that freedom to create. And that's what I'm ultimately looking for, is planning that exit strategy that now frees me to where if I want to go to a school, to talk to a body of students, if I want to go to Los Angeles and exhibit in Los Angeles, at a gallery, at a showing, or even if I want to just go to Paris to the Louvre and say, hey, I just want some inspiration, being able to view the architecture, different things like that. Just wanting that freedom. So now that I know where I'm going, it's taking the steps and the plans to get there.
How important is the support of your lovely wife, Atia?
So I would tell you, it is so, it's so important. And when people comment on Facebook and they put hashtag couple goals, right? She is truly my #1 fan. The only problem that we have, this is a very unique.
Lord, oh
no,
Lord.
no.
Okay.
But this is the fun part, and I love it. But this is the only problem that we have. So every single time that I paint something, I'm like, hey, babe, look. And she'll come around the corner, and these are her favorite 2 words. That's mine. And I'm like, negative. This is going on the site to be sold. And she was like, I don't care what you say, that's mine. Go ahead and post it up on Facebook. Watch what happens. I'm a post memes and GIFs and everything else. And I'm just like, oh my God. So because of that now, we have a very extensive private collection that is not able to be sold due to those pieces being hers. And I have a client right now. It's these 2 pieces, and you would think that it's like a auction war. It was just like, tell your wife she coming up off my pieces, and she'd be like, tell your client to kick rocks.
Lord.
But I love it, and it inspires me because, like, she allowed me to, and people say she allowed me to. Like, my living room, like during the pandemic, my living room, I went to Lowe's and I bought one of those the painters carpet things that protect your carpet.
Yeah.
I laid that out and I was just in there creating. And like my living room literally became my studio. And she was just like, hey, do your thing. If that's where your heart is, do it. And she's always made everything so sweatless for me.
Yeah.
And to me, when you have a spouse that not only supports the vision but sees the vision, it's priceless. There's no amount of money that I can put on it.
I can see it all in your face.
You see that glow, that soul glow?
I see that glow all in your face. I absolutely love it. And I love the fact that you have the youth in your heart and your mind. And so I think that's your camera. I want you to say something to young people that they have a dream and don't think that they can get there. Because of course, you were telling about what happened with you. And I know that your faith and your belief is a huge part. Family support, you know, your mom and your dad and your whole family. I know that they're supportive. But just tell a young person or young people out there, just give them some hope, you know.
So, as when me and my business partner, when we started Authentic DNA, we actually, the tagline for Authentic DNA is "Be the you that you were designed to be. Be authentic," right? And there's a creed that we actually have that is, we call it the 3 I's: inspire, influence, and impact. And what I would tell any young person is this: what we want to do is we want to inspire you. We want to inspire you to believe that you have a gift, right? Whatever that gift is. Don't compare it to nobody else's, but that thing that you can find yourself doing, if you did not get paid for it, that thing that you could do for 8 hours a day, right? If you wake up in the morning and all you think about is dribbling the basketball, right? If that's your gift, go after that. We want you to believe in that gift, right? So now that we've inspired you to believe that you have a gift, now we want to influence you to pursue that gift on purpose with passion. Now, what does that mean? That means, hey, if all you can do is think about dribbling a basketball, how do we get you trained? How do we influence for you to go to a basketball camp? How do we influence you to watch YouTube training videos, to do all those types of things? Because now if we can influence you to get educated and to perfect that craft, that gift, now you can transition into the impact, because that impact now becomes a thing where you get to impact society with the greatness that's on the inside of you. Now, yes, you have to believe. You have to believe in yourself, and being able to have that faith and that confidence in yourself, regardless of the situation, regardless of circumstances, but being able to say, you know what, I can do this. Now, everybody's environment is not conducive to that belief, but when you look in that mirror and you have that privilege, and I just recently painted a picture called Mirror Miracle. And the reason why I painted this picture was because there are so many times when we are so adamant about giving everybody else their flowers and their accolades, but we don't take the time to look in the mirror and pat our own selves on the shoulder and realize that you are a miracle. The fact that you are sitting here in this earth, breathing, looking at your face in the mirror, you are a miracle, and the world deserves what God has placed on the inside of you. So those 3 I's now become a thing of, hey, you know what? If I know that I have a gift and I can go get educated in that gift, or even go to workshops or what have you, murder the excuses. And that's what I tell people. So, like, take the oxygen out of the excuses. Murder the excuses. Don't give them mouth-to-mouth resuscitation. Let them die on the vine, right? Because that excuse, I mean, it's robbing you of the potential of so many things. I could have literally came back from Atlanta after that painting sip and said, these paintings suck. I'm not gonna paint. Now that was 2 years ago. Now just imagine if I would have went with that thought. If I would have gotten on that thought roller coaster and said, my artwork isn't good enough. If I would have said that, I can't do anything with this. All I did was trust what God placed on the inside of me. And to now be exhibiting, I've exhibited in Delaware, I've exhibited in Charlottesville, Virginia, I've exhibited down in Miami. This exhibit here in Connecticut, July will be in Newport News, Virginia. A friend of mine reached out to me and said he's planning something possibly for me in September in Charlotte, North Carolina.
Wow.
And this is just the beginning. So I'm that person, in a quick testimony, and this is the fun part for me. So back in 2013, the spirit of suicide tried to minister to me. And the devil had told me to kill myself, slam my head on the countertop, I'll bleed out, nobody would know the difference. I looked in the mirror, Teresa, and I said, I could do that, but if I don't die, I'm gonna have a speed knot the size of Texas, and I'm too cute for that, right? But here was the epiphany. Here was the revelation. When I looked in the mirror, I said, hell no.
Mm.
And I said, hell no. And I said, I'm not going to give you the privilege of you seeing me take the life that God placed in this earth. So that's number one. But this was the second part, and this is what I want to tell everybody that's watching this. There's something that the devil knows about you that you haven't figured out about yourself. I said, there's something that you know about me that I have not figured out yet, but I'm going to live long enough to figure it out and make your life a living hell. So for me, I think back and I smile so exuberantly because look at me now. So that was 2013, 14. That was before my wife. She came into my life at around that same time. And I was just like, and I'm looking at right now and I'm like, just imagine I would have went with that thought. Just imagine the people that would not have had the privilege and the opportunity to experience the gift, the creative gift that God has placed on the inside of me, and how it touches people on Facebook, on Instagram, on LinkedIn, right? Even being here to even have this interview. So there is something that he knew about me. And guess what? I'm still figuring it out because this is still just the beginning and I'm still just getting started. So I'm telling you now, hold on tight. Because we haven't even gotten up to the top.
I know that's right.
And it's been nothing but this since day one. And so I'm so grateful to God that he chose me, he blessed me, and it's awesome. I mean, it truly is awesome.
Wow, wow, wow. Oh, now you get me a little full because when you see young people grow up and then they come back as an adult. And
I was just thinking about the
oh
junior
my
choir.
God, yeah, junior choir and all of that. It's just a blessing to have you here. I am so inspired, and I know that your testimony is going to inspire many, many young people. And then my mind goes back to so many young people that I know that didn't make it. And I think if they would have heard a testimony like yours, inspiring testimony, that they might have said, well, I know if he could do it, I could do it too.
Correct.
So I'm just so grateful for you being here today. And I know that whatever you do is going to be successful. You know why? Because God's in it.
Correct.
And one of my questions was going to be, where does your faith and all that? I didn't even have to ask that piece because you were giving him the glory and praise through the whole thing. So I just want to thank you for being here. I wish you much, much success. I'm going to be there I'm going over to the Arts Center. I don't know. I got to count, as my mother used to say, my aunt. I got to count my nickels and see what I can buy. But I am just so grateful that you're here. Thank you for being here. I'm just looking forward to bigger and better things for you, your future, and all the young people that you're going to inspire. So again, I thank you for being here. And audience, I thank you. And I want you guys, when you see this, to share it. We need to share things that's positive, that's going to help other people. So I thank you for watching, and I will see you next time. Take care.